Hi everybody, this is Nate here. Welcome to my recorded video. And in this video, I'm going back to one of the technique that I've used before on my channel, which is the Grand Tableau video. I know some of you are really fans of that type of layout and method in cards. And so I am going back with a Grand Tableau. And this time I am asking the cards what is happening with Gavin Newsom. And so I wanted to see here his state of mind. I wanted to see his intentions, where he was in terms of his public life. Obviously, there are a lot of talks about possibly him being candidate for uh, possibly president, and also kind of what's going on with the governorship in California. So I wanted to kind of explore his universe. I am using the Lenormand cards. If you're not familiar with this, this is a set of 36 cards. I have a small deck here that I can show you here where you can see, some of those cards. So for example, the mountain, you can see the key, you can see the man in the reading. I focused on the man. The man was Gavin Newsom. In this particular deck that I have with me, you can see that there's a playing card attached. In this example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 of spades. But in this other card, we have the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of clubs. Okay. The reason that I mentioned the playing cards is because I will be doing on September 20th a playing cards class, divination, reading the playing cards. That's how I started to get into divination. And this is a beginner's level. So all you need, this is one of the simplest class, is a deck of playing cards. And so you will find the link on the description of this video if you want to attend the class or actually get the download. Both options are open. But with no further ado, I wanted to share with you the Grand Tableau. So the Grand Tableau is using the 36 cards that I showed you before and putting them into a tableau, a layout, and understanding their positions. So I will guide you through. Sometimes it feels a little bit like a class itself. And you can take these as such if you want to, or just get along with what I'm saying and just seeing the symbols. Or I'm going to talk a lot about the symbols. So this is a time for you to get comfortable. Maybe you have me on your TV. Maybe get a cup of tea or coffee if you fancy more coffee. At this time of day, I'm more of a tea person. Uh, and I'm gonna take you to the logic and what I see with Gavin Newsom's Tableau. So let me share the chart here, and you see the 4 rows of 8 cards. And I'm gonna take the pointer here, the 4 rows of 8 cards, and the small row of 4 cards, the fifth row, which is 4 cards, that people sometimes call the cartouche, this area here, the cartouche. So when you first kind of look at a tableau like this, you want to identify the center, the person that is the target, or the person of interest, should I say. In this case, it's the man, the number 28. I'm going to come back to this number. And this is the center here of the tableau from the point of view of his position. Right, his position is not in the center. As you can see, it's more towards the bottom of the tableau, which means that it doesn't have as much control in terms of what's happening right now. When someone's at the top, they have control over everything that's kind of underneath of them. But in this case, there's a lot going on here on top of him. And so we're going to have to talk about this phase of his life as we currently speak right now that is a bit karmic. By karmic means like his free will might not be as strong as other times, and there's certain element on his paths of life that are already a bit predetermined. Um, then I look at the center actually of the tableau. In the center of the tableau, what you can see in green here represent two cards. One here is the snake, and one here is the fox. So I can already tell you that he has a lot of enemies. He is not making friends, or just friends, should I say, from the point of view that a lot of people are seeing him as a threat. A lot of people are, if you look on the GOP side, obviously Trump, MAGAs, he's seen as a threat. And you can see the direct relationship here with because is ultimately above, right? Above the snake are above him. So very, very tricky situation, particularly that there's the fox here, and the fox here will talk about another kind of people that are sneaky. So there's almost like two energies here. One is that the people that are seeing him as a threat, not happy with him, are gonna throw problems at him. And then there's also foxes, that people that might looks like friends, but they're not really your friends. So he is really facing kind of a tough spot, actually, where he is actually presenting himself here, kind of wanting to stand up for the right, for the good, but is facing people that are against him, throwing things at him. And I feel like, as a prediction, as a first prediction, I am concerned to see this amount of negativity, fighting, obstacles that are going to be thrown at him. I feel like he is showing in this reading as a target, So now we're gonna observe the four corners of the tableau. The first one here, and I'm going back to blue, is the tower. And the tower represents, let's say, the government, right? So is defined, that was actually the first card that I pulled, that is a sense of him being in power as a governor, with ambition, clearly, because the tower is a tall, element. And I feel like his ambition in terms of government as a elected official, and also as an individual who has a strong ambition politically, personally. What is interesting is what we see here is the ring. The ring represents a deal, a contract, or when you've been given a particular position. So I find that interesting, that is looking for a new position. I think it's his ambition that is showing here. And the clover here show a little bit that is looking for opportunities. It could be seen as opportunistic, right? Because to get, usually ambition and being opportunistic go hand in hand. And so he is looking for every opportunity to get a position that would give him higher power, and how, well, the letter here could be representing the votes. So I think this first corner here on the top right hand corner on the left side, top left corner, um, talks about his ambition for the presidency, a higher role, getting votes, starting a campaign, and winning the campaign. That I feel is very clear from those cards. What we see on the other corner here are the stars here, and we have the stars that are here. The stars also represents the ambition. So it's kind of interesting, this line here from the ambition to the stars. Very, very interesting. And the and also kind of a side comment, but the star can represent the technology. So there's an interest for maybe technology as well, like understanding how technology can guide his goals. What I found fascinating immediately, there's a woman here. There's a woman. And I feel like he sees, you can interpret. One could say, well, is could be his wife, could be his relationship. I feel like this is a political ally. And one could say, could it be Kamala Harris? That could be an ally here. I feel like it is intuitively, but I'm open. You as viewers, subscribers, see this maybe woman as maybe another person, but I feel like it is Kamala Harris, um, who's actually can be seen as helping him with his goals and ambition. The moon represents the the abilities of this woman. She seems to be connected with more of a feminine energy, a creative energy, a softer energy, a, a different point of view, and a connection with the public that is different. Now, what is interesting is that there's the site here in this connection. And the site could be harvesting in this sense of harvesting, um, reaping the benefits of the hard work, but also that something can be taken away. It could be seen as a question, in terms of, is there a threat here? What could take possibly away, his future, his ambition? It feels to me also like this particular threat could be related to the enemies, because there is a line here that we might want to explore: the snake, the fox, the bear, the coffin, and the scythe. It makes me feel nervous for him because I feel like there's a series of enemies that want to stop him. Yeah. And stop him to go where? Where? To the house, to the White House. To the White House. It's interesting that I would also mention that the bear in many of my readings could represent finances, but in this case, I feel like there may be even a Russian activism. In other words, the enemy, sneaky, use Russia to end the White House. You see this line here, to end the White House bid. So I found that very, very interesting as well. Kind of going back to the woman here, if I may, for a second, she seems to come in a direct alignment here. The dog, which is the friend, the key, very important, the bouquet of flower, the the dog, the friend, the loyal friend, the key, the solution, the bouquet of flowers, the success, the woman, the star. That's one line. Um, and actually, I could add the child here that is new, that is related to this deal contract to government. Perfect line here. Um, and it looks perpendicular to the man. The man here. And so if I do a little bit of cleanup, because I want to keep things clean for you, ladies and gentlemen, I found very fascinating that there's multiple lines here. We're talking about this line. I'm going to call it the line of enemies is here, all here. And to counter that, and I put red, um, the line of friends that goes through a helpful friend. And those two lines, you see how they are in parallel. The public, the garden in between, the clouds, it's not very clear, the moon, and the south is the risk, and it's dual. It's either harvest or take away. So this reading doesn't give a clear outcome because I think it's really talking about the energies that are going on right now and says that there is a woman helping him that he relies on. And I feel like this is like a very loyal friend. And there's like the enemies that want to stop him from rising to the top and get the White House. Continuing with the horse brings news, bring possibly a White House, but I think an interesting card here is the Crossroad, a choice. I feel like that's his line now. He's having conversation, the birds, about to stay, continue where he's at as governor, or take a road to the White House. But if he takes a road to the White House, he's going to have to face the enemies that are going to pile on, pile on, pile on, pile on with help from the friends. Now, I would say that those friends are at the top and they carry more power than those people here. So, interesting corner as well. But we haven't done all the corners. There's the bottom left-hand side that is here. And the stork. The stork brings good news. The stork, I mean, he has such a beautiful energy here that I really love. Good news, a big heart. The tree represents the spirit, the action, very energetic. I like that. I feel like this is like such, it's come from different point of view for improving things, new ideas, action and energy, things that are true to his values and his heart. Very, very, very big. I also really like that he has a big sunshine underneath of him. That's the big sunshine. And I feel the birds, like it speaks very well. Like he is able to explain things well. His communication is very good, I think. With a fish, I think it's a connection to the business world, but also it's a sense of independence, a sense of s- being having a bit of an independent mind. Now, there's also a corner that's concerning here. There's a closed book with the snake secrets. Some things that are here that don't look too good. Eventually, also with the mice and the lily. It's a politician with a long experience, and there's stuff that the enemies are just looking to unearth, that they want to throw things at him, secrets, and there could be some trouble. There could be some trouble. Those trouble is what they're relying on to end, stop, pause his bid for the presidency. I wanted to talk about the cartouche. The mountain tells me that there are challenges ahead of him, but he has a very strong energy. The cross tells me that it's stress and worries, so he knows exactly what his opponents are doing. Ending with the ship is kind of interesting because this is the last card, and it's usually talk about a move or international, and I'm really not feeling that it's international. And so, or overseas. Um, so I get this sense here that is there like something about moving? We have to look into the meaning, especially that the cross is the last card, 36, so it's in the house of the cross. Is there something about moving that, yeah, move, a travel, it could be a travel that's bringing some stress? I don't know. I wanted to analyze the houses too. So let me do some cleanup because I don't want to leave you a mess. And kind of interesting to look at the house. So what some of you might familiar with the house, some of you might not familiar with the house. So the houses, we talk about the position of the card. So the first card is in position number one. One, you can see one is the rider. So the tower, position number one is the rider. Doesn't give you a lot more here other than a sense of wanting to the news regarding government, which is not a surprise here. The ring, that's interesting, is in position number two. And the third position number two is the house of the clover. Opportunity for deals, opportunity to win, opportunities to get the job. That's actually really, really good. The child is in the house of the ship. You know why? Because position number three, the ship, one, two, three, that's where the child is. The child is about something new. So is there something about a trip that's coming? That I think we will have to keep an eye on. The friend, the faithful dog, is in position number four. Interestingly, the White House, is position number four. It aligns with this row. That's all I would say. The key is in position number five, and that's the tree. There's a karmic destiny between this friend and this man, this connection, this woman and this man, who's also a friend. The bouquet is in the position of the clouds. It means that despite the difficulties there's some positive news here. Let's look at the woman. Interestingly, the woman is in the position of the snake. So that makes the reading a little bit more twisted, isn't it? Because he's relying, he's seeing this person as a ally, but this person might also create some problems for him. And I feel like this is a very interesting situation where, like in business, in politics, friends and enemies sometimes change. So, for example, let's imagine that this woman who acts, who seems to be, or he seems to count on to win the presidency, it could simply be that this person wants to run as well, wants to run as well. And so that would create not a snake as an enemy, but a problem or a competition. So this is kind of interesting. If this is Kamala Harris, it could be that it's undetermined if she doesn't want to run herself, or the possibility that she could run herself. And that would make her a competitor. So that's a bit twisted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, and 7, the snake. That makes really Gavin Newsom, from his point of view, having a lot of issues with trusting. But right now, the way that this woman is presenting herself, or he sees this person, he sees that as someone who's going to help him. Now we move to the stars. Um, and the stars are in the position number 8, the coffin. So also we're getting a sense here of it's like a dual energies. It's light, it's continuous, it's the dreams, but there's also a possibility of ending. Though this reading is very, very interesting from the point of view of the crossroad here. Two things can happen. Is ability to get to the White House can go through or can end. And it's really a dynamic with the people that are around him, his allies, his enemies. It's, I can't make that up. It's very, very cloudy, cloudy, a lack of clarity, and the moon. Interestingly, the moon brings also some trust issues, especially on top of the coffin. These readings, it's about shadow and light, shadow and light. A lot of energies that are not settled yet. And I think this is very hard for him to navigate because it feels for him that it's 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 not easy. It's not easy, and the path is not easy, and he has a lot of work to do with his friends, his allies, and his enemies. The friends could be competition, the enemy is always going to be there. Moving on to the clover, which is in the house of the bouquet, interestingly. Feels like he has luck. The letter is in the house of the sight. There could be some news coming, secrets that are coming through here that could bring issues with the lily, which is his piece. The lilies are in the position of the whip. The mice is in the position of the birds. So this is could be gossip. People that um, lie about him, present falseness and lies about him that is going to be having to deal with. I don't like at all for him this combination of mice, snake, book. It is in the letter. Moving to the cloud, which we're in position 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And that's in the position of the child, nothing specific. The garden is in the house of the fox, which just right there. The moon is in the position of the bear. That feels like Russia to me in the background. And then the star is in position of the whip is in the position of in the house of the star. And so there's an also an interesting dynamic between those two cards, between harvesting or being cut. And I feel like there's such a duality here, shadow and light, success and no success. That crossroad means everything. The whip comes in the position of the stork, a lot of energy here. The tree is in the position and the house of the dog, 18, 16, 17, 18. Also the friendship here. The book is in the position of the tower, government papers. The snake is in the position of the garden, meaning that enemies trying to impact the general public. The fox is in the position of the mountain problems. The bear is in the position 22, the crossroad. That's also a way of splitting uh, or making something not work or work by actions, by spreading lies, rumors. The coffin in the house of the mice, definitely a risk here. And then the White House in the position of the heart, 24, 24. Clear desire for the White House. The stork in the house of the ring, that's a really good connection here. There's strong energy. The heart is in the house of the book. The book could be secrets related to his romantic life or his business. 28, so 28, no, I have to go back here. 24, yes. 25, 26, 27, 28 is in his own house. I'm gonna clean that up. Is in his own house. So this is like very, you have one chance out of 36 to be in your own house. He's in his own house, meaning that he is exactly in his karmic destiny. The birds are in the house of the woman, confirming the conversation with the woman. The anchor in the house of the lily, and the crossroad in the house of the sun. That makes sense because there's a big crossroad here. And then the shadow and the light with the rider in the house of the sun. The cartouche. The mountain is in the house of the key, 33, the key. So there are clearly some challenges. The sun is in the house of the fish. I think it loves his independence, is thinking, he feels strong. The The anchor, interestingly, um, is in the house of the cross is in the house of the anchor, which I don't have much to say about that. And finally, the cross and the ship, which tells me back to this trip. So before I close and summarize, because I feel like I want to stop the cards, unshare the cards, and summarize, I wanted to do some knighting, which is a particular technique of two step and one step. So, for example, and I'm going to use um, the color here, yellow. So the man knights to the trip. The man knights to the lily. So there's a certain strength and peace, but there's this question about the trip. The clouds with the uncertainty. The bear, which in this case would possibly relate to finances, or Russia being a particular area of concern. Um, the woman knights to the White House. So we could be back to this conflict here if this is Kamala Harris and she also wants the White House to run. I feel there's also the clouds for her. And I think that's all I want to mention. So, if I want to do a bit of a recap here, Gavin Newsom's situation is really, really complicated at the moment. He has a lot of strength, he has a lot of energy, he has an ambition. I feel it's very clear from the cards that he wants to get to the White House. He has a lot of enemies in the GOP, Trump, possibly Russia. There's this connection with the woman that if it's Kamala Harris, I feel like there's her helping him, but the duality of possibly her could be competing with him. And I feel like it's very unclear for both. And this is bringing this uncertainty. I feel like there are going to be some dirt, gossips, secrets. They're going to throw. I feel like it's going to be quote unquote revelations. Not everything's going to be true relating to potential romantic aspect, finances, business. There's this trip that seems very strange, a particular trip. We will have to see what that means. Um, at this stage, the cards absolutely don't say if he'll win the White House or not. They just say he doesn't know, it's not sure. He has a lot of enemies that are already lined up, but he's standing strong. He's a fighter. You see that bottom left corner is very, very amazing. There's the sunshine, there's the energy, there's this belief. So he's standing very, very strong, but his whole environment is very, very, very challenging. So I felt this was a reading that definitely gives us a lot of information, but no certainty. What do you think? Different of the different elements. I would really like to know what you picked up. Who is this woman? Is he a friend? Is he an enemy? Is it uncertain? What is this trip? What could be this trip? Is there a Russia, Putin involvement here? What's going on? let me know in the comments. It's been a pleasure doing this reading for you, and I appreciate you very, very much. If you want to know how to do Le Normand Tableau, I also have a class. It's on my link, and there's a beginner and there's an advanced class. You could read a tableau for yourself after one class, so why not? Thank you so very much, and I see you soon on the channel. Take care.